When it comes to investing, there is one metric that is far more important than anything else. When it comes to investing, there is one metric that is by far more important than anything else. Now, I'm not talking about which vehicles you're investing in. I'm not talking about how smart your financial advisor is. I'm not talking about how good you are at timing the market. I'm simply talking about something way more simple than all of that. I'm talking about the amount of time that you have spent in the market. This is the one metric that will allow you to have the future that you want and a future where you can do practically anything that you want to do. Hey everybody, this is Sam, and today I'm going to be talking about the difference between investing when you're 20 years old versus when you're 40 years old. The only difference that I'm going to be making between the two is their age. They'll both be making the exact same amount of money, they'll both be investing the exact same strategy, and they'll be retiring at the same age. The goal here is to show you how important it is just to get into the market rather than trying to time the market. Now, you've probably heard of people trading frequently on apps such as Robinhood, which I am truly not a fan of. What I think that apps like this are doing are actually gamifying stocks, making you addicted to it and making it into truly a game. With a strategy like this, it's going to be very rare that you actually come ahead. Of course, you've seen recently that people have seen major gains, but that's just because of how the market is in general. You could literally have picked any stock in the past 5-6 months and you would have had a gain. When you're looking at investing for 5, 10, 15, 40 years, that strategy is not going to work. It's easy to make simple trades here and there that allow you to make a profit of $100 in a single day and make you feel like Buffett later that night. But you need to be honest with yourself. If it were that easy, everyone would be rich. And if you know basic economics, you know that that is impossible. Anyway, back to my example. The first person I'm going to be talking about is a fictional guy named Michael. Michael started working at age 20 and he was making $40,000 every year. Michael started working at the age of 20 and he was making $40,000. He's been able to save 15% of his income right off the top, and he's putting that all into a money market account. He continues to put this money into this account, and it's making about 3% a year, and he's never really considered actual investing. He's heard that some of his friends have started investing in different things, but he's never really taken interest to it. He just sees his money market account growing every single year, and he's pretty happy with that. Now, Michael's 40 years old. He's been seeing an increase in his salary about 2.5% every year. He's still been saving that 15% into his money market account, and he's making $72,000 a year in salary. His money market account has still been growing at 3% a year, and he has $172,000 saved. Now he feels comfortable to reach out to a financial advisor and go over different investment opportunities for himself. The advisor explains that Michael can set up a Roth IRA in which he can put $6,000 into right now for his first year. He then wants him to put the rest of the money from the money market account into a traditional IRA. Michael agrees and invests the $172,000. At age 40, he invested $6,000 into his Roth IRA, he has $172,000 into his traditional IRA, and he's planning to retire around the age of 65. Now, the second person in my example is named Dwight. Now, Dwight is 20 years old at the time, and he is also making $40,000 a year. But right off the bat, he's going to invest $6,000 into his Roth IRA, which is 15% of his income. He's also receiving a 2.5% raise each year and is still investing every single year into his Roth IRA. Now 15% of his income is actually over $6,000. He puts the rest of that into a traditional IRA. The reason that he's doing this is because a Roth IRA has a cap at $6,000 per year right now. Now, I'm speaking about 2020, so this number can definitely fluctuate, but right now the cap is $6,000 a year. Now, he continues with all of this until he's 40 years old when we go and check on him. Now, just like Michael, Dwight is also making $72,000 a year, but he had his IRAs set up already, which are making a return of about 10% a year. Now, before you say that this is an unrealistic return, this is the exact return of the S&P 500 for the past 90 years, every single year included. This includes all recessions, and it's averaged 9.8%. So to keep things simple, I'm just going to use a 10% return. At age 40, Dwight has $422,000 saved in his Roth IRA, and he's just over $100,000 in his traditional IRA for about $522,000 invested. It's been just 20 years since you saw Dwight and Michael both start to work and save some money. But the major difference you can already tell is that Dwight has $344,000 more saved than Michael, simply because he started investing earlier. Compound interest is much more favorable when you start off earlier. Both Michael and Dwight continue to work, and they're now making about a 3% increase every year in their salary, and they both retire around the age of 65. At the age of 65, they now have salaries of about $151,000 each, and they've had the exact same investment strategy for the past 25 years. Michael's Roth IRA has grown to $649,000, and his traditional IRA has grown to $884,000. This is a total nest egg of about $1.5 million, with $884,000 of it being tax-free. This is because a Roth IRA is money that he's already paid tax on. So the entire time that he's been investing since he was age 40, he was already paying tax on that, so this has grown tax-free. Now in retirement, he's not just going to cash this out. What he's going to be doing is just pulling 8% of it a year. It's still going to continue to grow 10%, and he's only going to pull 8%, so his total nest egg is going to continue to grow every single year. Now this is the ultimate dream. He's going to be making money off of his own money that he already has saved. He'll be living comfortably in his retirement, making about $122,000 a year, starting at the age of 65. Now we'll check on 65-year-old Dwight. His Roth IRA now has $5.2 million invested, and that's all going to be tax-free. His traditional has just under $2 million, so he has $7.2 million invested. He's also choosing to live off of 8% of its investments, which is going to give him about $576,000 every year to live on. He'll be able to do pretty much whatever he wants. When you see Michael's retirement pay of $122,000 versus Dwight's $576,000, you can definitely see the major difference that compound interest makes. Even though they had the exact same strategy for the last 25 years, that first 20 years was so crucial. While Michael was still saving 15%, he didn't want to gamble. He didn't want to take any type of risk there and invest it. He wanted to have it in something safe. Whereas Dwight, he played the odds. He knew that the investments were going to be making about 10% a year, and now he's really reaping the benefits. So please consider this example and invest as soon as you can. You are currently the oldest you've ever been and the youngest you will ever be again. If you've been contemplating and thinking about when the best time to invest is, it's right now. Investing earlier rather than later is always going to give you the best odds for your returns. So play the odds and get that 10% return. Yes, some years are going to be lower than 10%, but some years are going to be much, much greater. So you've got to hold tight. You just got to buy and hold and see how that can perpetuate your nest egg. I hope that you found some value in the example that I gave today, and if you did, definitely leave a like, leave a comment, and follow the channel. I really appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.